Welcome to Phii Stories. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story that chillingly reminds us of the dangers of forbidden knowledge and the thin veil between humanity and the monstrous. This story begins in the tranquil village of Nong Daeng, a place where life once flowed peacefully. But then, a shadow fell over its peace. Cattle began to die mysteriously, one after another, without any discernible cause. The villagers were gripped by a profound fear. Whispers turned into terrified rumors. It was the work of Kraahang, Grandpa Gam. Now, who was Grandpa Gam? He was an old man, known throughout the village for his formidable power in black magic and dark arts. His reputation was such that many believed he had already transformed into a Kraahang. Kraahang, in local lore, is a malevolent spirit, often a person who has practiced dark magic to such an extent that their own being becomes twisted. The dread reached its peak when Muan's cow suffered a gruesome fate. Its skull was caved in as if struck by a heavy object. Its internal organs were scattered everywhere, and bizarrely, some parts were missing entirely. Horrified, Muan rushed to the home of Grandpa Kiew, an esteemed elder in the village. In those days, Nong Daeng didn't have a formal village headman. It was respected elders like Grandpa Kiew who provided guidance and counsel. Grandpa Kiew, along with other villagers, hurried to Muan's house. Upon seeing the horrifying scene, Grandpa Kiew immediately dismissed the idea of a tiger. The way it was eaten, it's not a tiger, he declared. Besides, we've never had tigers come this close to our village. The implication was clear, chilling everyone to the bone. If it's not a tiger, then it must be the work of Kraahang Grandpa Gam. A furious Muan, driven by grief and rage, grabbed a piece of wood and stormed off towards Grandpa Gam's house without telling anyone. As Muan neared Grandpa Gam's dwelling, a foul, pungent odor filled the air. It was sickening, but Muan wasn't surprised. He was already convinced Grandpa Gam was Kraahang. He demanded Grandpa Gam come out. Grandpa Gam, a tall, burly man with dark skin, emerged, his voice harsh and menacing. Muan, despite his initial fury, felt a shiver of fear run down his spine. "Was it you who ate my cow last night?" Muan pressed. Grandpa Gam's response sent a wave of icy dread through Muan. "You have a sharp tongue, boy. You will die tonight." Muan, who had come for a confrontation, now stood frozen, pale with terror. At that very moment, Grandpa Kiew, who had followed Muan, arrived. "Muan, calm down," Grandpa Kiew urged. "You have no evidence. This isn't right." Grandpa Kiew skillfully mediated, eventually calming both men down, and they dispersed to their homes. But for Muan, peace was a distant dream that night. He couldn't even close his eyes, constantly on edge, Grandpa Gam's death threat echoing in his mind. As he lay there, teetering on the edge of sleep, a loud thudding sound suddenly shook his house. It sounded like something immense was trying to smash its way through his door. Muan quickly grabbed his shotgun, peeking through the gaps in the wooden planks of his home. It was a moonlit night, and the sight that met his eyes was unmistakable. Kraahang Grandpa Gam. The creature was relentlessly pounding on his door with a massive rice pounder, clearly intent on taking Muan's life. Muan recoiled, gripping his gun tightly, ready to shoot if the monstrous spirit breached his defenses. Moments later, the door shattered. Muan clearly saw Grandpa Gam's face. His two arms were attached to winnowing baskets, forming wings, and in his right hand, he wielded that giant rice pounder, large enough to kill a man with a single blow. Muan didn't hesitate. He pulled the trigger, firing into Kraahang's body. "Ouch! Ouch!" Kraahang cried out in pain. But Muan's hope quickly turned to despair. The ordinary bullet had only caused pain. It had not even scratched the skin of Kraahang, who was born of powerful dark magic. Muan knew he was helpless. He threw the gun aside and leapt out of his window, fleeing towards Grandpa Kiew's house, desperately hoping for salvation. "Help! Help! Kraahang is going to kill me!" he screamed. But Kraahang was fast, flying down to intercept him, ready to strike. Just as Kraahang swooped down, Grandpa Kiew appeared. He stood, hands clasped, reciting incantations. Then he fired his shotgun at close range, hitting Kraahang squarely in the chest. Kraahang was sent tumbling to the ground, unable to fly, and quickly crawled away into the darkness. After the terrifying incident, Grandpa Kiew brought Muan back to his house. What surprised Muan was Grandpa Kiew's complete lack of shock. "Grandpa Gam is my friend," he revealed. "I know him well. When he holds a grudge, he will kill." He explained that if this had happened before, Muan wouldn't even be standing there talking. Grandpa Gam would have already cursed him with nails in his stomach. Then came the shocking revelation. Grandpa Kiew and Grandpa Gam had been friends since childhood, even studying together in a temple. They had learned powerful magic together. However, Grandpa Gam had a particular affinity for black magic, dark arts, and Dirachan magic. He delved so deeply into these forbidden arts that his own magic eventually turned against him, making him a slave to its power and transforming him into the malevolent spirit he had become. The next morning, villagers, having heard the gunshot, gathered at Grandpa Kiew's house. They decided to go to Grandpa Gam's house. Grandpa Kiew cautioned them. "During the day, Kraahang has no power, but remember, Grandpa Gam is still a master of powerful magic." At Grandpa Gam's house, they found no trace of him, only scattered animal organs and a foul, rotting stench. The villagers wondered if the shot from last night had killed him. "No need to do anything," Grandpa Kiew said, shaking his head. "I know him well. Grandpa Gam doesn't die easily, and he's never been afraid of anyone. Go home before nightfall. He will surely return tonight." Muan's face immediately paled with fear and urged everyone to return home. As night fell again, Grandpa Kiew and Muan prepared what weapons they could find. Grandpa Kiew sat by a bonfire outside his house, showing no fear. They waited until late, and then, high above Grandpa Kiew's house, they saw Kraahang flying back and forth. Finally, it swooped down directly in front of them. "Kiew!" Kraahang roared, addressing his old friend. "You always knew I was a Kraahang, yet I spared your life. But today you betray me and harm me, and anyone who sees my face must die." With that, Kraahang Grandpa Gam swung his giant rice pounder, sending Muan flying. Grandpa Kiew didn't hesitate. He knew ordinary bullets were useless against Grandpa Gam, who was fortified by dark magic. Instead, he grabbed a consecrated spiritual knife, a mead more, and charged at Kraahang. Despite his bravery, he couldn't match Kraahang's strength. As he was about to be overcome, Grandpa Kiew found an opening. He plunged the spiritual knife into the center of Kraahang's body. "Friend," Grandpa Kiew whispered, tears in his eyes, "forgive me." As Kraahang Grandpa Gam took his last breath, his body began to disintegrate. In an instant, he crumbled into ashes, as if the magic that had held his physical form together for so many years had finally been severed. Grandpa Kiew always knew his friend Grandpa Gam had become a Kraahang. He had warned him repeatedly not to harm or cause trouble for the villagers when he went out to feed. But in his transformed state, the Dirachan magic had completely consumed Grandpa Gam, making him lose all control over himself. Grandpa Kiew realized he had no choice but to deal with his friend before the darkness consumed everything.
And its surrounding areas never reported seeing the Kraahang again. The terrifying stories of Kraahang gradually faded with time, becoming just a chilling memory. This tale of Kraahang Grandpa Gam isn't just a spooky legend, it's a profound reminder of the peril of unchecked power and the corrupting influence of forbidden knowledge. Grandpa Gam, driven by his pursuit of dark arts, ultimately became a victim of his own mastery, enslaved by the very forces he sought to control. His story serves as a stark warning. While power can be intoxicating, some paths, once taken, lead to irreversible transformations and tragic ends. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this journey into the supernatural, please consider showing your support. Your engagement helps us continue sharing these fascinating stories.